back to our channel, your ultimate destination for all the latest drama, twists, and deep dives into Genoa City. Today is a fantastic day to unpack the explosive psychological warfare brewing within the Abbott family. We have a lot of intense ground to cover, so let us jump right into the heart of the impending storm. Tracy Abbott has long been the moral compass and the unwavering emotional anchor of the Abbott family, a woman whose profound empathy is matched only by her fierce protective instincts. As the shadows lengthen over Genoa City, Tracy finds herself stepping into the role of a relentless investigator. Driven by a desperate need to uncover the truth behind Diane Jenkins Abbott's sudden and terrifying disappearance, her unwavering gaze turns toward Patty Williams, a woman whose history with the Abbott family is paved with obsession, trauma, and calculated destruction. During a highly charged confrontation, Tracy meticulously dissects Patty's past transgressions, refusing to allow the disturbed woman to hide behind a facade of innocence. It is during this intense scrutiny that Tracy's sharp observational skills uncover a chilling detail regarding Patty's recent movements. Tracy notices that Patty has been secretly associating with the enigmatic and deeply unsettling Dr. Lawrence Markham. This seemingly minor connection sends a shiver of dread down Tracy's spine, hinting at a conspiracy far darker than a simple disappearance. The revelation of Patty's connection to Dr. Markham introduces a sinister new variable into the already volatile equation of the Abbott family's ongoing nightmare. Patty's psyche is a labyrinth of historical obsession and fractured reality, a dangerous landscape where her lifelong, unrequited love for Jack Abbott justifies any atrocity. Tracy's confrontation acts as a catalyst, triggering Patty's deeply ingrained defensive mechanisms and pushing her further into her delusions. The involvement of a medical professional like Markham suggests that Patty is no longer acting as a lone, chaotic force, but rather as part of a calculated, methodical alliance. The tense atmosphere crackles with unspoken threats as Tracy realizes that Patty's madness has found a structured, clinical partner, making her more dangerous than ever before. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott is entirely consumed by a suffocating, paralyzing terror as the days stretch on without a single word from Diane. The silence is a heavy, physical weight pressing down on his chest, driving him to the absolute brink of his endurance. Unable to passively endure the agony of uncertainty any longer, Jack officially reports his wife missing to the authorities, placing the fate of his family in the hands of the Genoa City Police Department. The case is assigned to Detective James Burrow, a seasoned investigator known for his meticulous attention to detail and his unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth. Burrow's arrival at the Abbott mansion brings a cold, clinical reality to the situation, transforming Jack's private nightmare into an official, high-stakes investigation. The atmosphere within the grand estate is heavy with dread, every ticking clock amplifying Jack's profound sense of helplessness. It is within this crucible of despair that Patty Williams makes her devastating move, approaching Jack with a fabricated narrative designed to shatter his remaining resolve. With a chillingly convincing display of manufactured empathy, Patty weaves a thrilling, horrifying tale about Diane's fragile mental state. She claims that Diane suffered a catastrophic psychological breakdown, a complete fracturing of her mind that necessitated immediate, secretive intervention. According to Patty's twisted fiction, Diane is currently languishing in a highly secure, undisclosed psychiatric clinic, receiving intensive treatment for a total mental collapse. This revelation strikes Jack like a physical blow, preying upon his deepest insecurities and his lingering guilt over the recent turbulence in their marriage. Patty's manipulation is absolute perfection, weaponizing Jack's love and transforming it into a tool for her own insidious agenda. Patty does not merely deliver this devastating news. She uses it to construct a psychological prison for the Abbott patriarch. With Diane's supposed safety and secrecy hanging in the balance, Patty delivers a sickening ultimatum that forces Jack into an impossible corner. She implicitly threatens to expose Diane's fragile state to the ruthless media, or worse, to disrupt her critical care, unless Jack surrenders to Patty's deeply delusional romantic fantasies. Patty leverages the life of the woman Jack loves to extort the affection she has craved for decades. demanding that Jack enter into a relationship with her as the ultimate price for Diane's protection. The sheer, unadulterated cruelty of this blackmail leaves Jack breathless, trapped in a horrific scenario where his only currency is his own dignity and emotional autonomy. The internal conflict raging within Jack Abbott is a tempest of profound agony and visceral disgust. He is a man who has spent his life protecting his family, yet he now finds himself utterly powerless against the machinations of a woman who has repeatedly terrorized him. The thought of entertaining Patty's sick, obsessive advances turns his stomach, reviving decades of trauma and violation. However, the paralyzing fear of Diane's suffering alone in a sterile, unforgiving clinic overrides his personal revulsion. Jack is torn apart by the impossible choice between preserving his own sanity and securing the safety of his beloved wife. Every fiber of his being screams in protest against the extortion, but the heavy, suffocating weight of his love for Diane forces him to consider the unthinkable. While Jack wrestles with Patty's fabricated nightmare, the horrifying truth of Diane's actual situation is far more sinister than any psychiatric clinic. Diane Jenkins Abbott is not receiving medical treatment. She is a captive, held against her will in the isolated, heavily fortified private residence of Dr. Lawrence Markham. The atmosphere of her confinement is suffocating, a terrifying blend of clinical precision and deeply perverted control. Diane is stripped of her freedom, her agency, and her connection to the outside world, trapped in a gilded cage designed to break her spirit. The silent, oppressive walls of Markham's home echo with the terrifying reality of her vulnerability. As she realizes she is entirely at the mercy of a man whose medical credentials serve only as a mask for his predatory nature. Dr. Lawrence Markham is a predator of the highest order, a man who utilizes his authority and intellect to subjugate those he views as lesser beings. His treatment of Diane is devoid of any genuine medical ethics, driven instead by a twisted, perverted desire for absolute dominance. He controls her environment, her schedule, and her access to reality, employing psychological torture disguised as therapeutic intervention. The dynamic between captor and captive is a silent, terrifying dance of power, where Markham's quiet, calculated cruelty systematically chips away at Diane's formidable resilience. He views her not as a patient, but as a possession, a living doll to be manipulated and controlled within the horrific sanctuary of his private estate. The unholy alliance between Patty Williams and Dr. Markham reveals the breathtaking scale of the conspiracy targeting the Abbott family. These two deeply disturbed individuals have orchestrated a perfect storm of manipulation and captivity, perfectly aligning their twisted desires. Patty secures the undivided, albeit coerced, attention of her lifelong obsession, Jack Abbott, while Markham satisfies his perverted need for control by keeping Diane as his secret prisoner. This symbiotic relationship of madness and malice creates an almost impenetrable web of deceit, trapping Jack and Diane in separate, equally terrifying nightmares. The calculated precision of their plot demonstrates a terrifying level of coordination, making them a formidable and lethal threat to the very survival of the Abbott legacy. Driven to the absolute edge of despair and entirely bereft of alternatives, Jack Abbott makes the agonizing decision to surrender to Patty's extortion. He realizes that his only hope of uncovering Diane's true location and ensuring her survival is to infiltrate Patty's trust from the inside. A sickening, cold resolve settles over him as he prepares to sacrifice his own soul on the altar of his wife's safety. Jack must meticulously bury his profound disgust, his rage, and his trauma, replacing them with a carefully constructed mask of affection and devotion. He is stepping into a psychological minefield, fully aware that a single misstep could trigger Patty's volatile rage and seal Diane's tragic fate forever. Jack officially initiates the grotesque charade, embarking on a fake romantic storyline that requires every ounce of his willpower to maintain. He begins to feed Patty exactly what her delusional mind desperately craves to hear, offering false promises and manufactured tenderness. The atmosphere of their interactions is surreal and nauseating, a horrific pantomime of love built on a foundation of terror and coercion. Jack calculates every lingering look, every gentle touch, and every soothing word, executing a performance that is slowly destroying him from the inside out. Patty, blinded by her lifelong obsession, eagerly devours the deception, reveling in the delusional triumph of finally securing the man she believes is her ultimate destiny. As a longtime observer of these tragic Genoa City lives, watching Jack Abbott sacrifice his own dignity to save the woman he loves evokes a profound sense of sorrow and admiration. There is a visceral ache in witnessing a proud, powerful man systematically dismantle his own pride, forced to embrace his historical abuser just to buy precious time for his missing wife. It is impossible not to feel a heavy, suffocating dread for Diane locked away in a terrifying cage with a clinical monster while her husband dances with the devil in plain sight. This storyline transcends typical corporate espionage, delving into a raw, psychological horror that genuinely makes the heart heavy with empathy for the Abbott family's unyielding nightmare. The sheer emotional brutality of Jack's coerced romance is a testament to the terrifying depths of unconditional love. The psychological toll of this fabricated romance is rapidly eroding Jack's sanity. The constant, unrelenting vigilance required to maintain the lie is a heavy burden that threatens to crush him entirely. He lives in perpetual fear that his son, Kyle, or his sister, Tracy, might discover his actions and mistakenly believe he has truly lost his mind or betrayed Diane's memory. The suffocating isolation of carrying this horrific secret alone is a slow, agonizing poison. Jack is entirely cut off from his usual support systems, forced to navigate the treacherous waters of Patty's madness without a tether to reality. Knowing that the survival of his family rests entirely on his ability to sustain an elaborate, sickening fiction. Meanwhile, within the oppressive walls of Dr. Markham's residence, Diane fights a desperate, silent battle for her own mind. She relies on her innate cunning and her fierce survival instincts to resist Markham's psychological conditioning. Every day is a grueling test of endurance, a struggle to maintain her sense of self under the crushing weight of his perverted authority. Diane clings to the desperate hope that Jack is relentlessly searching for her, entirely unaware of the horrific, degrading price he is currently paying for her eventual freedom. The tense, ticking clock atmosphere of her captivity amplifies her terror, as she searches for any weakness in her captor's armor, praying for a miracle before her spirit is irreparably broken. The Abbott family is currently suspended over a terrifying abyss, caught in a deadly game of psychological warfare orchestrated by two master manipulators. Jack is walking a razor-thin tightrope, playing a dangerous game of romantic roulette with a woman whose madness knows no bounds. Diane is fighting a desperate war of attrition against a clinical predator in a secret prison, while Detective Burrow races against time to untangle the web of lies. Will Jack's agonizing gamble pay off, allowing him to uncover the truth and rescue his wife before his own mind shatters under the weight of his deception? Or will Patty's twisted delusions and Dr. Markham's perverted control result in the ultimate, devastating destruction of the Abbott legacy? The clock is ticking, and in Genoa City, the darkest secrets always demand a blood price.